wanted the best? You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. The Iron Lady from the Bugs Bunny cartoon sings it. Can I say Bugs Bunny? I don't know. When she sings it, that makes it official. Welcome to the big show, people. For 15 years, we've been bringing you the smartest people in the world, the CEOs, the billionaires, the White House presidential advisors, astronauts, you name it. People who write these amazing books and have these amazing stories of their life, their journeys, everything they learned. And they bring them on the show and they teach you, because as we always say on the show, stories are the owner's manual to life. And what better way to learn from other people's lessons than from their mistakes, which is the story of my life. It's just a horrendous lifelong error code of, I don't know. I'm just making up shit as I go along now. So we have an amazing gentleman on the show. He's going to be telling you his stories of his life, which are much more interesting than mine. And anybody knows that at this point. We have Kelly Killingsworth on the show with us today. He's the dynamic owner of Kelly and Company, or Kelco Construction LLC. And he's going to be talking to us about his journey through life, some of the things that he's done, different lessons he's learned, different things he's overcome, and some of his reflections of resilience, as it were. Welcome to the show, Kelly. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me here.
There you go. It's wonderful to have you as well. Strength through struggle is a motto of yours. Give us a .coms. Where do you want people to find you on the interwebs?
www.digkelco.com.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yep, that's where you find me.
Do you want any other places on the internet you want people to find you?
That's the main source. I do have Facebook and Instagram, Kelco Construction. You could look me up there.
There you go. So give us a 30,000 overview of what you do today and the message we want to talk about.
Yeah. So Kelly and Company became licensed at the end of 2022 as a licensed contractor in Northern California.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before this, where it all began is a story of kind of darkness and what I had to fight through as a child and through high school. Then I was in the military from 2007 to 2012. I've battled addiction, suicidal thoughts, severe depression, and I fought through it. And so by doing so, I've gained that resilience that I need to keep moving forward. And so I'm here now. I own my company, and I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house and a happy family, and mindset has been key for that transition.
A great mindset to do it. Now, is this your first company that you've started?
No, I have failed twice. I wouldn't say failed. I have attempted twice. I've learned a lot, and now I'm at where I'm at.
There you go. So, this is the great thing. I mean, my first company was a pretty good little company. It didn't work so well in winter when you're in the stucco construction business, but I was 18, what the hell? And then I had a few different, I don't know, you call them more play toys than real businesses, but they were attempt runs. And then finally, after a few years, I went for the big smack, and so sometimes you got to do the little. They're not really failures. You're just kind of like, I call them test runs. Where
test runs, definitely.
You're testing and running. You're trying to figure out the right dial in for being an entrepreneur, and you get it. So let's go through your journey and get to know you a little bit better. How do you grow up? What happens with your journey through life and how you're raised, the effect that maybe your home life had on you, et cetera, et cetera?
Growing up, I had a pretty troubled childhood. My whole family's been addicts and alcoholics. So my parents, they would fight a lot. They split at a young age. I was with my mother a lot of this portion of this time, until my father gained full custody. He became sober when I was about 8 years old or so, maybe.
Mhm.
And he's changed the stars for me and my sister, I like to say.
Mhm.
But before that, we would have like food boxes from the state and food stamps. We'd live in a trailer.
Wow.
It leaked. There was mice, rats. So I'm the first one in my family to actually buy a home and get through everything. And I blame I I thank my father for changing the stars that he did, because if
Mhm.
he didn't, and also I went down the same path that they
Mhm.
did, and I don't know why. I think it's because maybe that's all I knew.
Yeah, it's all
I
you know.
started
You grow up with
It's
that
all
as
I
your
knew.
imprint. Yeah, that's your
Yeah,
blueprint for life.
so
And
I
so
went down that same path for a
Mhm.
while, and it took me a while to pull my head out, but I finally did.
There you go. There you go. That's the one thing parents don't realize, I guess. I mean, from what I've seen, is they don't realize that, and maybe they're just caught up in their drama, their unhealed trauma of their lives, but they don't realize that the imprint you give to your children, having a father in the home, having a mother in the home, having the two combined, even if they don't get along, is an imprint. It's a blueprint, and how you handle that relationship, your relationship with your kids. Your kids take that and go, oh well, this is this way we're supposed to act. And even if you try telling your kids like, don't be like this, they're around you all the time, so it just becomes imprinted in them, and it makes all the difference in the world. So tell us where you go from there. I know you did some tours of duty with the military. Are you still, when did you wake up from the hey, maybe living my parents' imprint isn't the best idea?
I was in the trenches, deep dark trenches. I didn't see a way out.
Hmm.
The only way I seen at the time was when I was 23, and my life was going nowhere. I knew I wanted something, so I joined the army, and I was in the army from 2007 to 2012. I went to Iraq in 0809. I went
Well.
to Afghanistan in 2012. And that was great. It taught me a lot of integrity,
Hmm.
resilience, strength. Again, though, the transition coming out of the military was extremely tough. In the
Hmm.
military, you have like a set of goals that'll get you to the mission to complete the mission.
Hmm.
In the civilian world, you have any number of goals you could take, or roads, paths you can take to get to the mission, to get it done. And so that leads to a lot of failure, and I failed a lot
Hmm.
up till now.
There you go. And it sounds like you've taken the stance that you're going to learn from your mistakes, and you're instead of just getting wallowed down and being locked down by, hey, well, wow, I'm a failure, or whatever the case is. You're going to learn from your mistakes and how to do it. Did you struggle with addiction, and then when did you decide to become clean?
Yeah, I struggled with addiction pretty bad.
Hmm.
And and I was addicted to alcohol for a very long time.
Hmm.
And I started drinking actually when I was at the age of 15.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So after the military, that really escalated, and then it escalated into using substance, and then
Hmm.
I just was downward spiral. It came to a moment about 3 years ago. I was going to lose my house, my two kids, and and everything that I had. So I
Wow.
had to come to the realization where I had to look myself in the mirror and tell myself, like, I need to change. I have
Hmm.
to change absolutely everything that I'm doing. And that was very hard to do,
Hmm.
but I did it. And
Hmm.
even now, even recently, because it's like the slow time of year right now. I'm in the construction world, so it's like, man, I'm not working like I think I should be, and my in my back of my mind, it comes in like, hey, let's go have a drink or let's go,
Uh-huh.
kill time. And I'm like, man, I can't do it. I've already done it so many times
Mhm.
that I know what not to do now, like you were
There you
saying
go.
earlier.
There you go. You'll learn. Let me ask you this: did you go to a 12-step program at all or anything like that?
I did for a little bit,
Hmm.
and that did help. It
Hmm.
helped me find like a higher power, something to be grateful for. But I just have a why. My why is my children and
Ah,
what
there you
who
go.
I want to be. And so every decision that I make now, I try to look at myself in the future 10 years and say, is this going to help me become who I want to be?
Hmm.
And if it doesn't, then I do my best not to do that.
There you go. It's good to stay on that path. I've got a lot of friends that they're in the AA 12-step programs. Drugs, they just every day is a battle for them. Sometimes, depending upon the level of their addiction, to stay on the path. And the beauty of it is just so much better. I mean, I never had an addiction problem to alcohol, but I kind of abused it. I was abusing my body with it, let's put it that way. And it used to be fuel, and then I would, I'm like, hey, I can stay up later and do this work I need to do for my business. And the sugar was like it's mainly just sugar, like crack cocaine sugar, basically injecting your system for me. And it made me relax too. And as an entrepreneur, I was stressed out. So I'm like, oh, I'm relaxing. But man, the more I tuned into my health and became vegan, lost weight, and really started listening to my body and stuff, the more I just was like, this isn't helping me at all. this
Oh
is
no.
this is you. I mean, you literally are poisoning yourself. That's why you get drunk, is because you poisoned yourself. That's literally what it is. And I had this con job. I would tell myself that, oh, I sleep better. It helps me go to sleep. And you don't sleep better. It's
No.
just
No, you don't.
whole thing, the whole thing's bullshit. And I just reached a point of age where my body says, we're not doing this with you anymore. You want to have some fun on Friday night for an hour or two and light one up. Yeah. Okay. Well, here's 3 days of dehydration and bloating and feeling like shit, and then it got to
Yeah.
the point when you get to your 50s, it's like 2 beers and you're hungover and you're just like, are you serious? Like I used to
It's not worth it.
it's just not. And so now I'm free of it, and I've been free of it since 2020. And I got to tell you, man, I'm so much more productive than I ever have in my life. I don't miss it. I drink a lot of coffee, and every now and then, really high caffeine coffee. So I do have one addiction left, and so every now and then I'll get my coffee consumption off wrong, and I'll get like the same feeling of a hangover with a caffeine withdrawal hangover. And I'm just sitting there going, this fucking sucks. How did I ever deal with this with booze? Like what?
Drink more.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, now I just you just keep that coffee balance and you're okay. But even then, too much caffeine, kids, stay out of that. So you've come through this thing, you've got your focus on your why. You've broken the stigma of dealing with how you were raised and everything. And then how do you balance now family, recovery, and entrepreneurship? Because it's a bit of a pressure cooker running a business, especially in the trade you're in. Not everyone's friendly and huggable, I think, in your business. Are they, or do I have it wrong?
No, no, not at all. You hit
Oh,
that
it's a little
spot
tough
on.
business. I've been in it. It's a little
It
tough.
is. It
Yeah.
is tough. Um, it's hard to balance. I don't even call it a balance. I call it managing.
There you go.
Being able to manage it. And what has helped me is time blocking. And I time block my schedule
Oh.
and actually color code my schedule.
Hmm.
So, and I do it week by week, and that helps me keep on track. And sometimes, I mean, it's I don't daunting. It's
Hmm.
like, man, it just takes a lot out of a person. And like we said before, it's not for the faint of heart. But if I find myself losing track, I have to just go back to my time blocking,
Hmm.
and that's set in stone for me.
There you go. I always resisted time blocking and keeping a schedule because I'm kind of a freewheeling person, but my schedule keeps me in line, and I schedule stuff. One of the things I schedule that's important is every Sunday I do gratitude day, and it's in my
Nice.
calendar. And so on Sunday I do, that's kind of my self-care day, my time where I try and do some self-reflection and ponder. I'm be gratitude and I'd be grateful for what I have. I kind of spend time with my little dog family, my two dogs. And I try and kind of do things for the week, and then I prepare the schedule for the upcoming week. I try and, get 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 laid into what the next week is going to be, and having that self-care day really helps. And then I have a stoicism journal that I use. Let me see if I can grab this here. If I can, it's kind of under some stuff. One thing that really helps me is this is Ryan Holiday's. I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see it. It's a daily stoic journal for stoicism, and well, I don't write it in every day. You can. It's a great way to reflect and stuff. So that kind of helps me. That, or I'll read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. That's really good as a man to read.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm,
That stuff is awesome. That's what I've been writing down a lot in
mhm.
just journaling,
Yeah, there
and
you go.
it seems to help. Seems to feel like sometimes it's like manifesting what you want to be and
Definitely.
who you want to become.
Definitely. And you'll go back and read what you put in your journal, and you maybe weren't thinking about, what you put in there, and you go back and read it. When I was doing my book, I read my journals from when I was 18 and 20 and stuff. And they weren't like journals, they were like goal sheets or something I'd filled out and stuff. And I'd read through some of them, and I'd just be like, holy crap, this guy was pretty damn smart. What happened to him? And but like, I'm like, hey, I want to make $100,000 a year. Hey, I want to have this level of success. And man, I achieved it all. And I really wasn't thinking about it, but I'd written it down years and years earlier. So somewhere it was in the back of my subconscious to be successful. And how have things been being a veteran and coming back to the civilian success? You talk about battlefield to coming back home. Tell us that
It
transition was.
That was a really tough transition.
Mhm,
Getting out of the military and coming back home, I was like a free bird, and I didn't have a direction. I didn't know where I wanted to go.
mhm,
Um, for a very long time, the best thing that helped me when I got out of the military was finding a mentor.
mhm,
And that doesn't have to have the status of mentor as their job.
mhm,
It just had to be somebody that living a life that I wanted to live. So, and
mhm.
I kind of took after my dad for a while, and then I recently just um I call it leveling up my inner circle.
Ah,
So
there you
I did that, and I was lonely. That was another lonely period.
go. Mhm.
And I don't have a lot of close friends around in my local area, but I did level up my inner circle, and now I have a group with me that is very successful. And whenever I have problems, I get to go to them and talk to them and see what they're doing and see them moving forward. It makes me want to move forward as well.
There you go. I keep a circle like that myself. I have a Facebook group of people that are like-minded. We call ourselves a little dent in the universe group. Although, we're not Elon Musk or anything, but it's kind of. I have some friends in the group that are, they go to Davos, and they're putting their dent in the universe. So they kind of help stretch me, like you say. I see what they're doing successful, and I'm like, I need to work a little harder around this place.
Yeah, yeah, right.
So yeah, and so you kind of need that, because I mean, what's that old line? You're the sum of the five people you keep around you,
Correct.
and it's really important. It really helps for business too. One of the things I wrote about in my book was I had my best friend who was a partner for 13 years, and then he went off to do other things. We basically got Yoko Ono by his girlfriend, and um when he left, I didn't have a board. I didn't have a partner. I was just me running our companies. And I was alone for the first time in all of my years of business. And so I was like, what do I need to do? And I'm like, well, I could hire a board, but I really don't want to pay a board because I'm cheap. I don't want to pay an attorney and a bored and all this crap, and I'll have to deal with their issues. What can I do? And so I came up with this concept of what I called the virtual board for entrepreneurs. And basically, I went around a bunch of my entrepreneur friends and I said, hey, you know how, you sometimes have ideas and you need help with maybe innovations or something you're doing, or maybe you need, bounce some, stuff off. We'll usually kick the can around a bunch of ideas or something. um I'll do this for you if you do this for me. We'll make a deal that, hey, you can call me, and as long as I got the time, but I'll make time for you somehow, weekends or something. But if you need help with something, an idea or concept or business and whatever, you can call me. But and then let's make a deal that I can call you, and we can help each other. And because we're, entrepreneur is an entrepreneur thing. It's all widgets, right?
Yeah,
um
right.
for the most part. And it's learning to sell, or trying to clean out your scotomas, like your blind spots of where you're like, what am I missing here? Like, where's this problem that I got to solve? Why can't I see it? And the great thing about an outer source is that actually, it's kind of, hey, the glasses are on your face, that you're looking for, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I love that you've adapted that concept of having a circle of friends. A lot of men really struggle with that. There's data out, now, that a lot of men just don't have friend groups, and they don't have friends like like they used to when I grew up. Men did stuff together. They would go fishing and camping, and they'd be like, "Hey, honey, we're going to the bar. That's it. That's it." But now men don't have those things, and with the high divorce rate, men come out of marriages just with nothing, with no friends. And so I think it's really great what you're doing. You've got those people that are lifting you up and inspiring you to go to the next level.
Yeah, yeah. If I didn't have that, I would still be lost.
Yeah.
Definitely. I actually joined a men's group, and
Really?
it's a group of highly successful men,
Hmm.
and that helps me keep me on track, just like what you were saying.
There you go. We've had a lot of military folks on the show. We've talked about PTSD and different issues that military people face. Our military people get some of the most greatest leadership, training and experience of all time. We talk about this. We you look at the comparisons of how the Russians have fought their war with their hierarchy of really awful hierarchy of leadership and training, and the kind of the way they run their military, and you really see the glaring difference between our military in the world, and how it's just top notch. And I'm just really surprised that we don't do more to pick up people who come out of the military and put them in positions of leadership. Because whether it's the Beano do of the army, all the branches have just an extraordinary, and they teach our military people that if they lose contact or they lose their leadership tier and they're in the heat of the battle, they can step up and make decisions. You see in, like, Russia and Ukraine, once once you cut off a level, they don't know what they're doing. They're just
Yeah.
wandering around getting bombed by drones. And so, what advice would you have for other veterans who might be struggling to reintegrate into civilian life?
Out the biggest thing the biggest thing is to I would say is to drop what happened for me is I had to drop my pride, and
Mm-hmm.
I had to look for a mentor. And because in the military we still there's always somebody above you that
Mm-hmm.
is a leader. And so when you get out of the military, it's hard to find that person because it's not presented to you. You have to go look for him.
Mm-hmm.
Versus in the military, him or her, versus in the military, the person directly above you is appointed to you. Well, not in the civilian world. And you need to go. What happened with me is I had to go find that person,
Mm-hmm.
and and it takes time. It's not easy. Um, it's you got to find a handful of people and then pick a couple out that you really like and you want to emulate,
Mm-hmm.
and then and go from there. And I think that has to be the biggest thing. There's so many people coming out of the military that are are just lost, and I
Mm-hmm.
get it. I was lost for years, and and they don't set you up coming out of the military. They don't say like, here's a group of peers
Yeah.
that can help guide you so you can continue on doing great things. It's like, well, here you go back to
Yeah.
your home life, and if you don't have a plan,
Hmm.
then what I found is it's easy to get down and go through that rabbit hole again.
Yeah. I remember I had a friend who was a sniper, he was heading out to his fourth duty in Iraq during the Iraq War, and I remember he said to me, "Hey, you want to try on my rucksack?" And and I was like, "No, man, that thing is heavy as hell." And he goes, "I'll hold it for you so you don't fall over. I won't drop the full weight on you, but you can kind of get a feel." Man, I got a feel of that rucksack. I mean, he didn't give me the full weight because I probably would have crumpled to the ground. And I was like, "Holy shit, dude! This is why people do this when they're young." Um,
Yeah.
but he was so lost. He was just isolated. He was so lost without being home. And he's like, dude, I don't have my brothers. I don't have my people who have my back. When you come here, like all that's gone. And because I was like, God, are you sure you want to go do a fourth tour of duty in Iraq? You did 3 duties and you got nothing's happened to you. You got a clean bill. Sure you want to go back? Tempt fate a little bit. He's like, no, man, back there, at least I know my purpose. I know
Yeah.
my thing. And I think, what we've talked about today, I think a lot of that whole thing, not only in the military, but, like what you've said, finding your purpose, what's your why, your family, your kids, and all that stuff is really important for people to get nailed down. And then from there, you can build your life around your purpose. You think?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
Yeah, finding your why
Hmm.
is huge.
Hmm.
For me, it was staying sober was
Hmm.
huge. Because when I wasn't sober, I couldn't find my why.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that's what helped me out a lot.
There you go. With your family dynamics and stuff, how have you tried to change? I imagine you've tried to change the dynamic of how you were raised with your parents and the blueprint they tried using. That was probably not intentional, but how have you tried to change your relationship with your family in a different way that maybe you were raised in what you saw?
So a little bit about my kids now. So about 3 years ago, I split with my ex-girlfriend, and we have 2 kids together.
Hmm.
And that ensued a 3-year custody battle. And
Wow.
so that was part of the reason why I'm sober today
Hmm.
also. So I have them every other week. And my son, my most recent son, he's about a year old. So I just took what I learned as a kid, and pretty much I know what not to do. So, and I don't know everything right to do.
Hmm.
That would be insane, right? Like I know what not to do, and I know that being sober, I can have a level head,
Hmm.
and I can think my thoughts through, and I can project onto my kids what I'm learning myself and what I'm going through, and to let them know that it's okay
Hmm.
to fail. It's
Yeah.
okay because I've been there. I've failed, but
Mhm.
you can always pick yourself up and move to a better place.
There you go. A lot of parents don't realize that the example they're setting for the kids, where they are intentional about it or not, or sometimes parents lie to kids like, "Don't be a liar, cheater, and a bad non-integral person," and then they go do it, and you're just like, "Mom, I saw that you." I still tease my mom to this day if she swears around me. She'll get after me about swearing, and then I'll catch her
Uh-huh.
swearing, and I'm like, "Hey, you're full of shit." And I love my mom, but it's people don't realize that that impression you make, that example you give, is so important. And so I'm glad you're teaching them that. What are the things that you talk to and help people with? Do you want to have we not touched on today?
I just want to let people know. I want to give people the hope that they can come resilient in their transformation as well. I mean, I've
Mhm.
been in the deep, dark trenches, and when I was there, there was no light at the end of the tunnel. I thought
Mhm.
that was just my life, and that's what it was gonna be. I
Mhm,
didn't I couldn't visualize anything beyond that.
mhm,
And it took me possibly losing my kids and
mhm,
just having a very unhealthy lifestyle that um made me look at myself in the mirror. And by doing that, that's what made the light at the end of the tunnel shine just
mhm.
a little bit. And I had to keep looking at myself in the mirror, and that light got bigger. And so now I have a direction. And what I've done now is I've written out my goals, my yearly goals, my monthly goals, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. And it gives me a roadmap of what I need to do to become who I want to become. And
There you
so
go.
by doing that, if you do that, if some of these listeners do the same thing, and you can be who you want to become, and you can change your stars.
Mhm.
Anybody can do it.
There you go. Such an inspiring message. And somebody asked, how old is Kelly? Uh, kind of curious on your journey there.
Yeah, so I'm 38 years old.
There you go. 38 years old.
38 years young.
Yeah, you are young. I'm 56. I'd trade you any day to be that young again.
I've had a hell of a life up till now, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Your
Yep.
30s are your best years of your life, I think, especially when you get it all down. Um,
That's what I've heard. I'm getting
yeah,
it all down now.
there you go. And then when you're 40, it's all over. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to depress
Yeah.
you. It's 50 when it's all over, but enjoy the ride. Take care of your health. I mean, that's the other thing I wish I'd done is quit drinking, back when I was your age. Because I probably did some damage to my body. Probably did some things that I feel now it's harder to lose weight. Insulin resistance. It's I don't know. I'm still looking for one of my kidneys. So
Right.
but it's just you start to feel like when you get to be my age, you feel like everything you did to yourself for the past 50 years. You're like, I think I can taste that martini that I fucking shouldn't have been drinking and whatever, and you're just like, wow, man, that's a lot of bottles that they're hitting the old back there. But it's good that you're getting cleaned up now and you're dealing with it and you're getting your focus. Um, we've had a lot of blue collar. They call themselves blue collar millionaires on the show. In fact, somebody I think wrote a book of that title. We just had another gentleman on his focus is to take blue collar businesses and help people build them into multi-million-dollar companies and stuff. What is some of the vision you have for what want to do with your company?
It's a pretty big vision this year,
Mhm,
actually. So we became licensed in the state of California at the end of 2022.
mhm.
So last year we went from 0 to 250K gross.
Wow.
This year we have a goal of getting to a million. And
Mhm,
what we've done is reverse did our numbers. So now what we do is we bid about 7 to 10 projects per week. And
mhm,
by doing so, hopefully we can get around 7 projects ranging around $150,000 a piece,
mhm.
and that'll get us to our $1 million mark. So that's our
There you
goal
go.
right now. We actually just put a bid in for $600,000, which would have got
Nice.
us halfway there, which is awesome.
Yeah,
We didn't get awarded that project,
yeah.
but we're making the relationships needed
There you go.
to be able to move forward. And that's another thing I wanted to say is relationship building. I
Mhm.
never thought that it was that big of a deal. And if you make relationships with the right people, it is a big deal.
Definitely. Relationships are everything. And the great thing about relationships is when you make them, the payoff continues for them for years to come. Like when I started my first really big company, Silver Streak Express, we set up relationships with people. We didn't have contracts, they weren't bound to us, but we just delivered really great service and innovative stuff. And people liked us for some reason. I don't know. People always like me. I don't know why. They really shouldn't. I'm not that interesting a person. But um and most of those original clients stayed with us for 13 years. And they would, people try and steal them away and they go, we like Chris Voss and I hadn't seen him in years. So I started our other companies. And but they loved our service, they loved how we did things, and they stayed with us through the the time I finally closed down the company because it was just too much liability with the cars and delivery services and stuff, and we had other things we were doing. But I look back on it and I'm like, holy crap! Like the the money that I made just from the work I did in the first few 6 months. You look back on it, you're just like, holy crap! And it was all about those relationships. So the payoff is huge as you build that out and you build your book of business.
Definitely, definitely.
Definitely.
I all at the end of last year, majority of last year, I was creating relationships, and now I get to see some of this coming to fruition.
There you go. So give us a final call out on what people can do to reach out to you, learn more, and work with you, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe check out, some of the visions and things you're talking about and inspire other people.
Yeah, I got www.digkelco.com.
Mm-hmm.
We got Instagram at Kelco Construction, same with Facebook. And I post a lot of stuff other than dirt moving and whatnot on my socials. It's about building my brand.
Mm-hmm.
A couple values that we like to instill are integrity and resilience and strength. And, we like to do the right things for the right reasons with honesty.
Mm-hmm.
And we learned a lot of resilience going through what we have, like being a clock in a windstorm, steady ticking, always forward. And then strength is a big one. And if you ever heard the story of the buffalo versus the cow,
No,
you
what is
can
that story?
Google it, but I'll share a
Sure,
short
please.
story about it. So if a storm's coming over the horizon, what the cow does, the cow sees it, turns and runs from the storm. Well, eventually the storm will catch up to the cow, and the cow keeps running to get away from the storm.
Hmm.
Well, the cow never really essentially gets out of the storm. He may
Yeah.
be there working very, very hard, but he doesn't get out of the storm. What the buffalo does is he sees the storm, they run to the storm, they run through the storm, and they get to the other side. And
Ah,
so that's a big metaphor for me. That's what this picture is behind me, is the buffalo and the storm. And
I
that's
like
what
that.
got me through a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. I like that a lot. I use that analogy, closing the distance from Hunt for Red October. Sometimes if you've got the missiles coming at you, sometimes it's better to close the distance and figure out how you disable them. Someone has a great question. They really like your speech. Um, does Kelly regret anything in his life currently? Do you live with any regrets, or do you mostly focus on, what you can learn from them as opposed to living in the, regret?
When I first made this transition, I had a lot of regrets,
Hmm.
a shit ton. And I was
Hmm.
really unhappy. And I would look at myself in the mirror and I would just be so upset about the decisions that I made in my past.
Hmm.
And through continually looking at myself in the mirror, I came to learn those regrets as learning opportunities and taught me what not to do. So now when I look at it, now I don't live a life of regrets. I faced a lot of my fears that I thought were fears. And by doing so, now I don't live a life of regret. And I don't regret my past and my
Yeah.
past decisions because it made me who I am today.
Yeah. That's a
And I
great
and
question.
I learned a lot of lessons and I could teach my kids and hopefully other people those lessons too.
Definitely. When you live in regret, you're renting that space out in your head where you're living in the past, and you can't change the past. And the most important thing is to learn from it and go, okay, well, it's okay that I recognize that I made mistakes. How did I learn from them? Okay, well, I've got that, so you can go away with your little regret thing there, and then you can use that space to focus on changing your life and make it better. There you go. God bless you, Kelly.
All right.
Loving
Thank
your
you. God
answers
bless
to
you
the quiz.
too.
There you go. So Kelly, give us the .com one last time as we go out.
Yeah, www.digkelco.com.
There you go. There you go. Thank you very much, Kelly, for coming on and sharing your message that inspires everyone here.
Hey, I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me and thanks for listening.
There you go. Thanks for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com, Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com, Chris Voss, Chris Voss one, the TikTokity, and Chris Voss, Facebook.com. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe and we'll see you guys next time.